Well, hey everybody, and welcome back. Look, this video has been a long time coming. For the past 3 years, I've been building out this 2012 Toyota Tacoma for my overland ventures, where I take my kids on these camping trips, and also sometimes when I like to go out just by myself. Now, there will probably be things that I change from time to time, but for the most part, I feel like this thing is really exactly where it needs to be. Now, I'm going to cover it front to back, all around, and we'll go over everything that I've done to the truck. On this first video, we'll do a walk around of the actual build itself, and then on the next video, which I'll film right when I'm done filming this one, we'll talk about all the interior gear and mods, be 2 separate videos. But after 3 years of covering my build progress, let's get into it. So we're going to start up front. We'll start with the bumper. The bumper is made by Built, a company that is unfortunately no longer in business. I was fortunate enough to get this and many other items on this truck secondhand. So I got this from for like $1,100 on an Instagram account. There's a marketplace called Vilmont Market on Instagram for those of you in mainly the California area. So I will link to them in the video description, because a lot of these items I was able to purchase through that marketplace. Mounted inside the bumper, we've got a worn Evo 10S synthetic line winch terminated with a Factor 55 flat link. And then the lighting inside the bumper is Baja Designs. So we got an S8 20-inch light bar, combo beam, and then we've got 2 combo beam amber colored floodlights made by Baja Designs. These are the Squadron Sports. The headlights, which I think these are the best looking headlights for the 2nd gen Toyota Tacoma. These are the Alpha Rex Nova Series and Alpha Black. Now, the wiring is kind of funky, which I don't really like. There's a lot of wiring, and that just kind of drives me crazy. I am considering removing these. I think they look awesome, but they also, if you don't have, as somebody who does a lot of filming and video and stuff like that, if you don't have the right shutter speed on these, and sometimes I just gotta fake that shutter speed, you see flickering, and the LED sequence is just not that great on these. They look awesome. They perform fine. They're really expensive, and so I don't know. It's a tough decision. I think they look great, but I may be parting with them. Now, the truck came with a chrome grille, and I actually swapped that out for a factory painted black grille, and then later on I installed this TRD Pro lookalike aftermarket grille insert. I purchased it off TacomaBeast.com. The plastic on these aftermarket ones is pretty flimsy and brittle, and actually you really can't see it to the eye very easily, but mine cracked when I was installing it. It really didn't bother me that much. I think it looks really good, but besides that, I mean, I'll just be honest, the factory ones are much, much better. On top of it, right here, I've mounted a front-facing camera, which in my next video, when I cover the interior gear and mods, I will talk a little bit more about that, but that's just so I can see, when I can't see over my hood, I can see on the trail with this front-facing camera. Okay, moving on over here, we've got the Baja Design Squadron Sport ditch lights, which I've got mounted to a dual ditch light bracket on this side, so I could also mount my GMRS stubby antenna. Just a quick note, the off-road lighting setup that I have has worked out pretty well for me. And it's something that's really important. Most of my trips end up being super late on a Friday night, and we're not hitting the trail till usually 10, 11 o'clock at night. So we spend a lot of time on the trail using the lights, and the reason I chose to go with a company like Baja Designs is they do a really good job with not only making super great quality bright lights, but the color science is what does it for me. I started out with this extreme LED super stealth light bar, and that has more of like a bluish cool tint to it, and it strains your eyes after a little while on the trail, but the 5000 Kelvin daylight color that they have on these white lights made by Baja Designs is fantastic. It's easy on the eyes, it's very pleasant on the trail, and so just a note, that is why I picked the off-road lighting setup that I did, and I really like it. Now we're about to get into tires, wheels, suspension, all that kind of stuff, but there is something I forgot to mention up front. I have a aluminum skid plate made by Built. Next to the rock sliders, which I'll cover right now, these are the RSG Metalwork rock sliders. That's all the armor that I have on this truck. For a long time I considered going full body skids, and I just never got to it because honestly, normally I don't wheel that hard. I built this truck, and I should talk about this more. I built this truck specifically for going on camping trips. Off-roading just happens to be part of it sometime, but I'm not usually looking to get into anything super serious. And when I do, I usually have a really good spotter with me, and so it's a lot of weight to add. It's a lot of money to spend. It is a very good idea to do, but I just didn't end up doing it, and that's just what I did. All right, so let's get back to tires, wheel, suspension. 33-inch Falcon Wild Peak AT3Ws. I've had these things. Like, one of the first things I did to the truck was buy these tires. I really like them. They're great all-terrain tires. They're great on the street, and they've worked really well for me on all the miles that I put on them off-road. They're still holding up really well. They show no signs after 3 years of needing to be replaced anytime soon. Really love them. They are 285, 75, 16. The wheels are 16-inch TRD Baja style. They are the wheels that came with this truck. I think they look great. We'll talk about this later, but I actually did pick up some Stealth Custom Series wheels that I ended up just never putting on, and they're for sale if you guys want them. I'm just gonna keep these wheels. I'm happy with them. All right, now back here, I have the Icon Vehicle Dynamics 2.5 IFP, just coilovers, no remote resis or anything like that. Like I said, this is for the most part it's a touring truck, and I do spend a lot of time off-road, but what I have does me just fine. I really love this suspension setup. Now these are with the 700-pound springs, which really well accommodates for all the extra weight that I've got with the bumper and the winch. Before that, I was running Elka, which the shocks I really liked before I put all the bumper and everything on. Their 700-pound spring just didn't really stand up the way it needed to. And so Icon shocks, and then an SPC adjustable control arm just for that extra wheel clearance. And so it's worked really well. I don't have a cab mount chop. I don't have anything like that. And I barely ever rub. I just don't have that issue. And so the wheels, I believe, are -12 offset. I hear people complain about that all the time. I've just never had the issue. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think a lot of the time when people are having a lot of rubbing, maybe it has to do with pushing out that tire to like a -38 offset, and it's out too far and it ends up contacting. It's just not where it's supposed to be. But this wheel is what came from the truck factory, and so I think a lot of that has to do with why I don't rub. So in the rear, I'm actually still running the Elka 2.5 IFP shocks. I think they ride just fine. I really enjoy how the rear operates. To accommodate all this extra weight, I've got an Icon Vehicle Dynamics RXT leaf pack on option 3. I did this really early on, and weight has been such a big issue with this build. As you can see now, some of you may or may have not seen some of the previous videos. I've gone back to a camper shell, and the way I did it this time works. When I'm super loaded up for a trip, I mean, I'm talking like the whole stinking family, there's a little bit of sag. But when I pack for just me and my kids, everything's fine. But when the wife comes, I bring a ton of extra stuff, and I don't see a need to actually adjust and get a heavier duty leaf pack for that. Moving on up, in the rear, the taillights that I have are Alpha Rex Nova Series Alpha Black as well. Once again, very cool looking taillights. Not super necessary, but you know, we'll see. You may see me remove those. I still have my TRD Pro headlights, and I still have my factory taillights, so I may end up taking them off eventually. Moving on up, ARE camper shell. I'm blanking on the model number, but just look in the video description and I will include that in the notes. Front runner slimline roof rack. I think this is the original slimline roof rack. Up front, I've got the slimline 2. I was really lucky, bought this camper shell secondhand, and it happened to include the roof rack, and so very easy transition for me. being that I already had the front runner roof rack on the front over the cab. Up top, we've got the Terra Firma Summit Quad. This is a 4-person rooftop tent, but it's going to work. We've got a baby on the way, and so the big reason for moving to a really big rooftop tent is, one, eventually I'm gonna have 3 kids that I'm bringing on these trips. And when the whole family comes, I really want everybody to be able to sleep in the same shelter. And so this is like a true 4-person tent. And so 2 adults and 3 kids will be no problem in this thing. What's really awesome about it is it's measured 76 this way, 76 inches this way, and 96 inches that way. So me being 5'9", I can easily fit sleeping this way, and we've just got tons of room to stack all the family members across the tent, and really happy with this thing. We'll be covering it more in a future video. So as I said, front runner Slimline 2 roof rack. Now I also have added these camp lights right here. These things are fantastic. Once again, that 5,000 Kelvin color temperature, really great. I love turning them on when we're on the trail at night so the kids can look out the window. And just obviously when I get to camp and I'm setting everything up, just a really fantastic addition to that roof rack. And up top, we've got a 150 watt solar panel for the roof rack as well. Back here, I've got another one of those Baja Design lights mounted on the top of the camper shell hatch so I can kind of illuminate the tailgate. And then something I like to do when we get to camp is just take out the fridge and my Rux case, which this is all my like just grab and go stuff. And then the fridge just stays plugged into this little electrical outlet system that I have wired to my dual battery system, which is inside the truck. So a real quick look at what's inside here. I've got a Cali-Rays Molly panel that I mounted to the bed for mounting flashlights, soap, axes, hatchets, stuff like that. And then I've got a Milwaukee pack-out plate mounted to the floor of the bed so I can just clip in. These are my recovery gear bin and my camp kitchen bin. And then I've got the Cali-Rays panel on the other side, just some knickknacks mounted in here. And this is just my typical loadout for a camping trip. Now there's a lot more that I've done on the interior, so I'm going to split that into a separate video. But one thing I did want to mention in this one is behind my rear passenger seat, I also have hard mounted a dual battery system. I will probably cover that more in a future video. So that's it, you guys. That's the build. It's been a long time coming. Thank you guys for sticking around and supporting me throughout this entire build process. Lots of exciting stuff to come on the channel, so I hope you stick around and you check out the future video coming on the interior, which I'm going to try to get to in a minute here, but I'm losing some daylight pretty quickly. And then also, please don't forget to check out the update video that I'll be putting out, just explaining where we're going from here. So I really appreciate you guys, and as always, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.